I graduated college almost 2 years ago, and my primary source of income is DoorDash. I make a little bit of extra money here and there to stuff of doing other things and trying other things, but for the most part, I went to a 4-year university and spent thousands of dollars doing everything the right way, or at least the way I was taught was the right way, just to not be able to find a job, not even be able to get an interview, and having to DoorDash. And I don't want to sit here and diminish gig workers or rideshare people or anyone else that DoorDashes. Like, this work is truly, at this time in human history, this is God's work. Our ancestors would dream of something that was this convenient. You can go on your mobile telephone, press a few buttons, and then I will drive to your home and deliver you food. And to people on the outside looking in, for the most part, they think it's a pretty good gig. You make your own hours, you're your own boss, you don't have to, report to anybody, you just drive around, listen to music, and drop off orders all day. And at its best, yeah, DoorDash is a pretty good, I would almost say fun job. But at its worst, especially with today's economy, you're essentially paying out of your own pocket to deliver other people's food. But the other day, while I was delivering an order, I kind of had an experience that reminded me of where I am in my life despite everything I've done. This time I was delivering with Uber Eats, and I usually get these orders to the specific office for the specific person. And I only remember it because she's a really generous tipper, but it's a little bit of a weird situation. The order is just an okay order, and I accept it and I deliver it. But each time after I hand it to her in the office, these are usually during lunchtime, I start driving back, and while I'm driving back to my spot, I get a notification saying that she added, a tip. And I'm not just talking about like a little $2, $3 addition. She's adding like 10, 15. One time she added $20. And I'm not going to say the thought didn't cross my mind, she might be into me or something, but I really don't know. I'm usually shutting out during my deliveries. This particular delivery, I was dressed fairly normal, fairly presentable, more than usual, and I thought I would ask her about this office. Only because I've applied to this office whenever there's been an open position, and I've delivered to her a few times. Another detail is that she's a little bit younger than me, and I'm 24, so I assumed she was fresh out of college, so I kind of thought I might have a better chance at, this office. And whenever I felt that way, I've thrown up the Hail Mary, and I talk to people at these offices when I deliver. I'll ask them what it's like, if there's, if I applied already, I'll be like, hey, like, is there anything, any interview tips, blah, 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 this or that. So this time I did just that with this girl, and she was actually nice enough to have a conversation with me. Typically when I've done this in the past, these people are just trying to eat their food and go back, get their lunch break over with and go back to work, right? She asked me a couple questions about like my major and how long I've been delivering and how long I've been out of school. It was actually a really nice conversation. I don't really get to have conversations like that with this job. It's a very dehumanizing job at times. But she had started giving me, tips and advice on, how to land a role at this office in particular at her position. But I did notice that these tips were like super basic general things that I feel like everyone kind of knows. If not, they're like a Google search away. So I tried to steer the conversation into something that was more specific, and I asked about like the interview process. How many interviews are there? What do I have to know? Is there something they'd be impressed with, something I can do before? And after giving me a good amount of very general tips once again, she ended up telling me that she did an interview. And I was confused. I basically said, well, how did you get the job? And she responded, my dad is the COO of this company. Apparently, she just graduated in early May, and she has this job that I know for a fact pays well. But she worked at this office. She was here at this office. I was delivering to her months ago, before she graduated college. I think the position that she works in, I had applied to before, and I'd seen the salary range starts at $80,000. And I'm not a software engineer, so, that kind of money is pretty crazy to me. But it was just like incredibly frustrating to have had this conversation and be getting These very basic general tips from someone that's never needed to use them and probably won't use them in their life. Basically, I came into this world, I had poor RNG. She had great RNG, and that's good for her. I mean, I shouldn't be mad at her. I mean, I wish I was her. But that experience just left such a sour taste in my mouth, and every day since, while I've been delivering, it's just been so miserable thinking about that and what these past almost 2 years have been like since I graduated college. Going to college for me was a really big deal. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I might be the last person. But I was always told this was the correct way to go about it. I go through school, I go to college, and I get a job because I went to college. And to all of my older family members and to any older individual that I talk to, I just seem like I'm lazy, and that's what they believe. How could you go and get a degree and still not have a job all this time later? It must be a you problem. And I've been there too. I thought it was a me problem. I've gotten professional resume help. I've used staffing agencies, and it's like I have a curse against me that prevents me from getting a job. And that's not even really that much of an exaggeration. I was interviewing for a job in January, and I had gotten to the third interview, and my car broke down. And I scrambled to fix it. It cost me so much money to fix it. And literally the day I fixed it, someone broke into my car and completely basically bricked it. Okay, I mean bricked in the sense of like there's no use for it. It's literally just dead weight. They had gotten into my car and tried to hotwire it, and then they tried to turn the ignition with like a screwdriver, which is I'm pretty sure only a thing in really old cars, like 70s cars, and I don't have that new of a car. I have a 2010. But that was an additional crazy amount of money, and that job that I was interviewing for didn't work out. But the curse continued. I got another interview that was being set up through my staffing agency, and I stopped hearing about that interview from the staffing agent that was assigned to me. And after about a month, I asked, hey, is this still on? What's going on? And the agent that was assigned to me said that, the HR woman that was going to interview with you actually became deathly ill, and she's been sick this entire month, but it's still on. You'll be able to interview with them soon. And then finally, after 45 days of waiting for a confirmation of the date of the interview, I actually went to interview, and 20 minutes before my interview, the staffing agent called me to let me know that she had interviewed with another person, and that person not only really impressed her, but also had 8 years of experience. And this was an entry-level position. I didn't have any experience, of course, because I haven't been able to get a job. So the HR lady at that place had basically already decided before I even stepped in the interview, which sucked. I've applied to over 2,000 jobs, and I only don't give you a specific number because I stopped tracking them after 2,000. Again, I spent thousands of dollars and 4 years at a university away from all of my family and my friends to pursue a degree that doesn't do anything for me in the actual job market. And I think people who said college is a scam, a decade ago had, some points, but it might have never been as much a scam as it is now. There are still reasons to go to college today, and to be honest, I didn't make the most of my opportunities, and I regret that. I'm definitely feeling that now, but I think generally I have been following a path that maybe still exists, but is not as much a viable path as it has been for decades. Many of the jobs I could have done have been replaced with AI. I've had an immediate family member who was replaced by AI. On top of that, a lot of these places just aren't looking for inexperienced people, even if they are entry-level jobs. And a lot of people are feeling the same struggle that I feel. And what that means is Many of these positions have hundreds to even thousands of applicants that are all qualified. Given my experience delivering to that girl and hearing how she got her job, it's very easy to imagine that the old phrase, "it's not about what you know, it's about who you know," is very true today. Anyone that's in my position, and I know that's a lot of people, and some of them have even, commented on my videos about this kind of thing, know that it feels like you're fighting against a rigged system. It feels like there's nothing you can do. I mean, dude, I applied and interviewed for Raising Cane's 2 weeks ago, and I didn't get the job. And I have nothing but fast food experience in my work history. It's tough out here, man, and DoorDashing is the only way that I can make a living. It's very easy to feel this intense pressure with, needing to get a job, especially after, going through college. And, not to sound corny here, but pressure makes diamonds. During all this time I've spent looking for, careers at some random corporations or whatever, I actually built a startup. I built something with my friend, and it's been pretty successful. We have 40,000 users, and we make a little bit of money out of it. And if it wasn't for this platform, there are some months where I wouldn't have made my rent. And, with this platform, I'm learning all sorts of different skills that can apply to jobs if I want to do that along the way. But I would much rather, make something out of this thing that I built. It's much more fulfilling. And if I can make it a career, it's, I prefer that to a corporation any day. But, there's passion in it. And this comes from a place of me taking action. There are so many things out of my control with, the current job market and stuff like that and AI. So I took control and I did my own thing. I'm really proud of what I built, and I'm reminded every day that there are a lot of people that care about this thing that I made. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of YouTube, and it reminds me of what I've done, historically with this channel. Working on my startup reminds me of YouTube every day, just with the spirit of just making your own thing, building something out of nothing and giving it to people and seeing what they think. I love that so much. And working on that has reminded me of how much I love that here on YouTube. It's a lot of the reason that I am uploading again. And I'm not exactly making the most artistic or coolest videos ever, but I'm back making videos, and I'm passionate about this, and I hope that I can make you guys passionate about this as well. If nothing else, if you're just a passerby, you're not a subscriber, or you're about to unsubscribe from me, I hope what I've said so far at the end of this video is enough to make you go after your own thing. I'm not some motivational speaker. I'm not some prodigy. I'm literally just a dude. I'm a very unremarkable dude. And if I can do something, you can do it too. And I hope you do. We could always sit here and complain for God knows how long about things that aren't in our control and things that are unfair. But I think that time is better spent taking control of what you're able to.
Granddad, what do you do when you can't do nothing, but there's nothing you can do?
You do what you can.